it's Miss Toni, and you're joining me on week 32 of my 40-year-old pregnancy journey. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm excited because 32 weeks is 8 months, and I know 8 months sounds like the end, but for those who are unaware, your pregnancy actually lasts 10 months, which is something that blew my mind when I first got pregnant with Kennedy and I got confirmation in my doctor's office. And she was like, well, you're already, I think I was 6 weeks at that point, and I thought I was only 2 weeks. So let's talk about why. So your last menstrual period determines how far along you are in your pregnancy. So when you miss your period, typically it's been a month, it's been 4 weeks, and you think like, oh, okay, I'm pregnant now. But in the medical field, they consider you already 4 weeks pregnant. So you're already a month. And that's why they go all the way to 40 weeks, which translates to around 10 months. And so if you guys ever hear me say 9 or 10 months, it's because most women give birth between the 9th and 10th month. And that's considered full term. But if you have a baby that's 36 weeks or younger, then they actually still consider that a premature baby. So it sounds funny that a 9-month-old baby, a 36-week-old baby in the womb would still be considered a preemie, but it's just because it's not during the last 4 weeks of development, which is a big time for babies because they develop so much cognitively and still physically they're still developing during that last time frame. For me, I had both girls right around the 39-week mark. I think Kennedy was 39 weeks and maybe 4 days, and Cameron was maybe 39 weeks and maybe 1 or 2 days because I had a planned delivery with her. And so both of my babies made it to that 39th week and were born right before they hit the 40-week mark. But my cousin, I have a cousin who I just found out, she and I were due at the same time. We were due around the end of July when we originally first found out we were both pregnant, and she already had her baby. She had her baby in April. So unfortunately, she had some issues that caused that to occur early, but the baby is fine. The baby is still in the NICU right now. But the mama, she got discharged, so she's doing fine, and the baby will soon be discharged as well. But yeah, interesting. It happens. Babies are born early all the time. Unfortunately, for a lot of Black women, we find that Black women have emergency C-sections and have preterm babies and even pass away in delivery way more frequently than others. The researchers don't know why, but a lot of it has to do with the health disparities that we have in the Black community, as well as a lot of health conditions, which I just mentioned my cousin. So she had preeclampsia, and sometimes if you have a lot of health issues or any health issues that are already existent when you're pregnant, they get exacerbated when you're pregnant. And so that's a lot of the times why Black women have these issues. So it's unfortunate, but there's a lot of research going on right now. The company I work for partners with March of Dimes, and they're doing a ton of research to really understand and help Black women with maternal issues that we've experienced over decades and decades, and there haven't been enough resolutions. And so this is just my little PSA for Black women. Yes, you can have a baby and be healthy, and the baby will be healthy, but you should definitely be making sure that you're taking measures before you even give birth, to cut down on certain foods that are unhealthy, to get exercise, proper exercise that you need. And I know a lot of Black women who are committed to fitness and health and all that, and that's wonderful. I'm one of those women. We definitely need to encourage each other to be better at that so that we can have healthy babies and we can be healthy in the process. Now that I'm off my soapbox, the baby is measuring about the size of a cantaloupe, which is about 17 inches and about 4 pounds. As far as how mama's feeling, I feel great. I did have to cut my food portions again. So if y'all have been rolling with me since day one, or I think I started this on week 8. If you guys have been watching, then you know that I had some issues just in the first trimester and beginning of the second trimester. I call them issues, but it's just basically I can't eat much when I'm pregnant. And it's not because I get sick. I've actually never vomited at all in any of my 3 pregnancies. thank God. But it's more of I do get the feeling that I'm full after just a few bites of something. I do feel a little bit nauseous, and I do get a little bit of heartburn. And so I typically have learned that I have to eat, instead of just eating normal portions that I would eat when I'm not pregnant, I have to eat smaller portions and more frequently throughout the day. And so that's something that I adjusted during my second trimester. And then towards like the middle of my second trimester, I was golden. I was like back to eating. Calvin will tell y'all, I ate 5 tacos in one sitting. They were so delicious. And I have never done that before. Usually I'll eat 3. Pregnant, I'll eat 2. But I ate 5 tacos in one setting. They were so good. And so that's when I got my mojo back, was like middle of the second trimester. I was probably 6.5 months pregnant when I could actually start eating normal portions again. And now I'm back to where I was in square one. So I am eating again smaller portions and just spreading those out throughout the day, snacking a little bit here and there on fruit, on trail mix, on whatever I have. Just making sure that I'm eating a little bit more frequently, because I'm still very hungry. I mean, that baby inside of you is like, feed me. So I'm still hungry, but I'm like, I don't want to suffer. So I've learned that I have to do this little process, and this is what works for me. So hit month 8 and had to go back to that eating regimen. Speaking of foods though, on my Did You Know segment this week, I wanted to share foods that you cannot eat or should not eat while you're pregnant, and foods that I personally have had to cut out of my diet during this pregnancy. So first and foremost, I love seafood. I've shared that with y'all before. I recently had some crab legs and told them bad boys up. And they were the bomb.com. I put them in the oven this time. Usually I just boil them on the stovetop. That's what I've been doing for years whenever I make crab legs at home. But I was reading online and I saw this one recipe where it said a lot of the flavor, you lose it when you boil it like that. And so I was like, well, I need this flavor right now. I need all of that flavor. And they were frozen. So that's the reason that I even looked up different recipes, because usually I'll have them thawed already, but these were frozen. And so I oven baked them, just wrapped in foil, and you know, you have to drain them because again, they were frozen afterwards. I drained them like in the middle, and then I put them back in. And then when they were done, they were so delicious. I mean, I had my little garlic butter, my salt, like my lemons, like it was so delicious. So you can eat crab legs. They say a lot of shellfish, you don't have to worry about. So you can still eat shrimp and you can still eat your crab. Just everything just has to be cooked. And that's the most important thing, is that you don't want to expose yourself and the baby to listeria, to any bacteria, to mercury. And so there are a lot of fish that I can't eat. For instance, I cannot eat farm-raised fish. So any like salmon or tilapia, trout, anything that's farm-raised, you have to stay away from. But if it's wild caught, then you're okay. Calvin always remembers that. I never do. So I have to put a note in my phone so that when I go grocery shopping, I know I cannot get the farm raised. I need to get the wild caught. Why can't I remember that? I don't know. It makes total sense because the way farm raised fish are fed and how they group them together, it makes sense. But I don't know. I just think like mercury could be anywhere, and it can, but for the sake of just science and what the research has stated, it's okay to eat most fish. You can't have like crazy fish like shark or mackerel or orange roughy. Orange roughy is actually really good. But the more rare fishes that we really don't eat, those are the ones that you actually have to take out of your diet. So if you normally don't eat them anyway, you don't have to worry about those. For me, the biggest one that I've had to take out of my diet is sushi. I love sushi, like raw sushi, like for real, y'all, raw, real sushi. I love. And I have been tempted. We have a sushi place one of my favorite spots, and it's right by my house. So right before you come into my community, I have to pass this sushi restaurant every day. But I have had to cut out sushi completely. Now you can eat cooked sushi. I just am not a big fan of cooked sushi. And so I just literally, when I am pregnant, I just don't go to sushi restaurants. Or if I'm at a restaurant that has a lot of seafood, I just don't order the sushi because I don't want to have to think about which kind I can have, which kind I can't have. And like I said, I don't like much. I'll eat a California roll here and there, but I really don't like cooked sushi. One thing I do like though is cooked oysters. And so when Kelvin and I went out with the girls on Mother's Day that evening, I got Rockefeller oysters. And the Rockefeller ones are the baked ones with the cheese. Oh, so delicious. It's so good. And so that you can have. So you don't have to cut out everything. There are other things I have had to cut out of my diet, like unpasteurized cheeses, which I don't buy a lot of unpasteurized cheeses, but when I am eating at a restaurant and I get like different salads, Mediterranean salads, or just any salad where they put like the moldy or blue cheese on top, you can't have any of that. And so that's been something that I have had to cut out anytime we go to a Mediterranean restaurant, or even like a Panera Bread. If I'm getting a salad that has the blue cheese on it, you have to tell them to make it for you without any of the moldy or soft cheeses. I've also had to stop getting my eggs over easy. I know you're probably like, ew, you eat over easy eggs? Yes, I love my eggs over easy. Sometimes I even eat them sunny side up, which I know the yolk is all gross to some people, but it's so good to me. And so when I'm pregnant, I just get my eggs scrambled so I can still eat eggs. I still get the flavor and the taste of the eggs. I just don't get it the way I usually like it prepared. I would say seafood is my favorite meal. Breakfast is my second favorite meal. And I love all types of breakfast. I've had to limit a lot of my breakfast options, like, you know, eggs Benedict, like smoked salmon is probably safe, but I don't trust it because it's not fully cooked. So I don't typically eat anything that's just smoked. I like it to be fully baked, or, you know, make sure that it's fully fried or whatever, so that I know I don't have to worry about it. And that's pretty much it. There's not too many limits on what you can't eat. There are certain things that you need to limit, like limit your caffeine, too much salt, too much sugar. Some of those things that we already know are bad for you. So you just want to limit those when you're pregnant as well. So I had my week 32 OB appointments, and as I told you guys, I'm going every 2 weeks now. The appointment went really well. And lucky for me, my doctor came in and she forgot her Doppler. And instead of going out and doing the whole wash process all over again, she just did an ultrasound instead, because they already have the ultrasound equipment just in the rooms. And so I wasn't expecting to get my ultrasound for another month with her. So I was so excited. I was like, I get to see my baby today. Typically the ultrasounds that you guys have seen me post, those are with my maternal fetal medicine doctor, which is a perinatologist, a specialized doctor. So I only get those once a trimester. So this was, like I said, a nice surprise to be able to see the baby at a regular OB appointment. So I was so excited, and the baby was head down, which was 2 weeks ago. Remember I told y'all she was all rough with her hands, my doctor, and she was trying to figure out where the baby was, and she was like, that's either the baby's bottom or the baby's head, and she thought it was the baby's head. So she was saying it's a little early for the baby to be head down, but in this appointment she confirmed, I mean, I saw it on the sonogram, the baby is actually still head down. So I don't know if he or she is already getting ready or just in a comfortable position and may flip-flop again at some point. I still have plenty of time if the baby were to flip another way and then go back down closer to the 40-week mark. So but it was just cool seeing the baby's hands and the baby's feet, and I didn't see the genitals. Thankfully, they were covered. And so the secret is still safe with my other doctor, my perinatologist. But yeah, it was just really good to be able to see the baby, the heart rate and the fundal height and everything. So I mentioned the heart rate. The baby's heart rate was 114, and I thought that was pretty low. So I asked the doctor, is that a problem? Should I be alarmed? And she said if the heart rate is anywhere between 110 and 160, the baby's fine, baby's healthy, you don't have to worry about it. And I said, well, I understand I'm in the range, but when I was here 2 weeks ago and you did the estimate with the Doppler, you said you thought the heart rate was around 140. And so I was saying, you know, this seems like a big drop from 140 down to 114. But she said, well, one thing I do remember from your appointment 2 weeks ago is that the baby was busy. She was like, that the baby was moving. You know, we heard it. We heard a lot of movements on the Doppler. And she said, today the baby's kind of chilling. So she was like, you know, before we started this ultrasound, the baby was probably nice and comfortable and asleep. And so she said that affects the baby's heart rate. So if the baby is, if you, let's say you just ate right before you came to an appointment and the baby's getting that energy, then they're going to be more active. But if they're in a sleep state or coming out of a nap, then their heart rate's going to be lower, just like ours are outside the womb. And so it made total sense. So she said she wasn't alarmed, she wasn't worried at all, and that I shouldn't be either. The other thing I just mentioned was the baby's fundal height. So that's when they measure right above your ribs and they go all the way down to your pelvic bone. And she told me that the estimate typically is about 2 centimeters more or less than the actual number of weeks you are along. So what does all that mean? So she measured it to be 36 centimeters. And with me being 32 weeks pregnant, it should have been closer to 34 centimeters. So she's saying the baby's still measuring slightly big, which again, she told me I should expect that until the end. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know. I keep hearing that every other week, every time I'm there. I feel the same as I have with the other 2 girls when I was at this point. And so the pregnancy itself feels very much the same. So of course, all my friends and my mom and my mother-in-law swear that that's a sign that it's a boy, but I don't know. I honestly can't say I think it's a boy or not, because I feel so much the same. So before we go, I just want to show my belly bump for week 32. There, here she is. You can definitely see I'm getting rounder. Got on my little work dress today. Had a couple meetings. So mama's feeling good. Baby is somewhere around here. I definitely feel some hardness down here, like a head, and I don't know where fingers and the toes are today. But here is my belly at 32 weeks. Well, that's it for week 32 of my 40-year-old pregnancy journey. Thank you so much again for joining me. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't followed me on IG, make sure you follow me and holler at me. Let me know who you are, so I can follow you back. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye, beautiful.